Anyway, there's really cool things that happen when we just don't judge what is happening through us. I can't begin to describe the non-physical benefits, but let's just say it's sort of like the refreshment you get after an orgasm, right? It just feels like your entire body is cleared and reset, like your nervous system is just primed for optimization. I have not shared these before. I feel like I have repressed these things because I was very certain that I was crazy for having these experiences. Hey guys. So I don't know how to start this, but you aren't supposed to know how to do things you've never done before. So I'm gonna wing it and pretend like I know how to start this and how to talk about this, because I personally love being on the precipice of a breakthrough or feeling like I'm at the cutting edge of consciousness. And when I have these moments of like breakthrough, I just need to share them. I just would love to share the frequency of breakthrough because it feels like one of the greatest gifts I could give. So I was just having the experience of laying in bed with my beloved and having my eyes closed and just having like flashes, like visions come through. And I always love when this happens because unless you experience this yourself, it's sort of hard to describe, but it's like you're getting pictures, like almost like a comic book, like flipping, right? So you have a comic book, and the old-fashioned way of making a comic is that like you have a thick book, and like these scenes are just slightly different than the previous one, and so you flip through them and there's a different scene on each one, and then the picture looks like it's moving, right? Pictures will come through sometimes that fast, and they'll be vastly different from one another. So it's like basically what people mean whenever they say they're getting a download is just like information's coming in this quickly. I'm just thinking of how my astrology expert friends are like, oh, there's a solar storm and there's a lot of light code streaming in, and this resonates with me. This feels true, but also a part of me is like, I don't know how to place that. I don't have context for that. All I know is that I do connect strongly with the consciousness of the sun, and hey, if there's downloads coming in, I receive. So in these images, like, I can't begin to describe the non-physical benefits, but let's just say it's sort of like the refreshment you get after an orgasm, right? It just feels like your entire body is cleared and reset, like your nervous system is just primed for optimization. So for example, some of the images that I get, and this is going to be probably a decent way of describing the variety of images I get in my downloads, will be things that are very personal to my life and scenes that haven't happened yet, things that I think may happen, that I'm foretelling that they're going to happen, and also things that are very symbolic. For instance, like there is this giant tree that's supposed to resemble the tree of life. And as I bring it back up now, I can kind of just feel like emotion of almost like needing to cry for a second come through. Anyway, there's really cool things that happen when we're just being us and we become acoustically, metaphysically, non-physically sensitive, and we just don't judge what is happening through us. Because as I was in the space between laying in bed and here, I was in the bathroom and I was like, you know, sense making basically, because I believe we're only ever in bliss or we're sense making. That's kind of my two modes of operation. I was sense making and I was like, okay, hold on. And I was inspired to share this with you. I have not shared these before. I feel like I have repressed these things, because I was very certain that I was crazy for having these experiences and there being so few other accounts that I could point to that have experienced similar things. And when we're in the vibration of doubt, like all we can access is like or similar representations. So whenever we feel lack, we're going to find evidence of what we're looking for. We're going to be like, oh yeah, I don't have enough money for this, or oh yeah, I don't have this or this or this. We just see more of what we are a match to. So when I was in the toilet, I was in the toilet, when I was on the toilet, I was like, okay, Karissa, like we're gonna share this because this is the energy of breakthrough. And you remember what it's like to be afraid to share this because you were dishonoring or disrespecting yourself. You were going, you know what, actually, this isn't valid. So I was invalidating myself and I was going, you know what, I'm actually separate from creation. I'm actually out of this little network known as existence. I am not valid or worthy. I am flawed. And this is it's a really tricky dance to have had such clarity of interconnectedness and then to go into doubt of your experience. And I know I'm not the only one who's experienced this for sure. We all have negative beliefs that we're here to journey in that theme of. And why I was excited to share this with you was because we are so lucky. We are so blessed. I feel so blessed that we get to experience the emotion of relief. We get to experience whatever contrast is, whatever is the contrast of what we prefer because of our own parameters, because of our own preferences, because of our own beliefs. But we still get to experience relief. We still get to come back into union. And there's, I would love to find the words to describe how precious it is that we exist. Sometimes, actually, it feels like it's an exception to actually be in the presence of the sacredness of life for me. And whenever we touch it, it is probably the single most thing that stands out in our entire lives. I think most people experience this whenever they have had a kid and they experience a rush of interconnectedness and relief and gratitude. And there's so many emotions that they have some sort of come to Jesus moment where they are like, my life changed when my child was born. It is so cool that we all have the, if you so wish, if you so desire, we all have the capacity to have a, as we say in the US and the South, a come to Jesus moment, which means you are having a revelation, you are being reborn, you are brand new, you are surrendering to life and going, you know what, there's so much I don't know, there's so much I don't see from my limited mind. And the whole point in this video is to make myself more comfortable with sharing these brilliant moments of clarity while also sharing my own confusion that I've had and uncomfortableness and just like cringe of, kind of just being in my own body, because it's a very, very paradoxical experience to feel so clearly and to see so strongly that I know God, or that I can see almost from like source's perspective, while combining that with my own story as Karissa and knowing my limitations and knowing flaws and all of the ways that I doubt myself. So it is incredibly magical to be able to combine the merging of heaven and earth inside of this singular vessel. And you know what? As I was transitioning from like, okay, I guess we're gonna talk about that, talk about this, to actually setting up the camera and hitting record, was like this playful idea just kind of like dropped in Like, hold on, what if there was a payday coming? And I never like use this phrase. This is not a phrase that exists in my lexicon. And I was like, okay, I like how that feels. What does that mean? And what I was getting was like, okay, just imagine, we're just gonna imagine, what if a payday was coming, like, you know, like as if you're winning the lottery, like as if things would make sense, like coming soon in the future, things would all make sense, and like what you have been struggling with and what you've been challenged with, like what if there was a payday coming where it would all pay off, it would kind of all make sense, and it would all be worth it. And I feel like I have had a good amount of these culmination moments where I'm like, yeah, total clarity, every single area of my life. But they still are pretty few. So they still feel pretty rare, where everything, like 360 degrees, kind of makes sense or something. So I want to offer to you, if it tickles your fancy, that like, what if this notion, not too far off, actually much closer than you could imagine, what if this idea of a payday was coming, where maybe some desire, some experience greater than you dreamed is coming for you, and it is so much better than something you could have controlled into form. When I tune into this, I'm like, yes, it does feel like hope, it does feel like retribution, it does feel like this does feel certain, this does feel like, of course. And I feel that the gift here is that we can always be giving ourselves permission to feel as if, even if we don't feel it now, even if we're like, oh, I still gotta show up every day, still gotta do my practice, that one day it will all make sense, or one day something will come through. And what I believe this is really just us connecting with our higher mind. We can say that this is due to astrological events. We can say that this is just the timing of the collective and its, you know, growth in consciousness. We can just say it's our own personal timing as a soul. If we can say that we completely choose the timing of when we have these epiphanies. But I just want you to feel into the magic of something good around the corner that's so much better than you could have ever dreamed. And it's healing in the nature of it creates a catharsis. It's healing in the way of you're able to release everything that held you back. You're able to drop it all and you feel reset, you feel reborn. So this payday that I project that is coming for me and you as well if you wish, it's like a vibrational payday, but it's gonna show up physically. It's gonna show up materially. It's going to actually be something that we cannot, I'm gonna tear up saying this, it's something that we can't deny is like pure grace. And I love actually being able to channel that from the ethers for both of us, because life does get to be magical. Life does get to be as mind-blowing and synchronistic and miraculous as we allow it to be. And I believe that when we prime our emotions, we prime our brain, we prime our vessel by connecting to that timeline and going, wow, I am so grateful, I am so lucky, wow, I had no idea what was going on beyond the scenes. When we connect to those emotions and we practice them, there's this theory that we actually are attracting in to this now moment, the eternal now, the timeline that reflects, oh my God, like I just can't believe how glorious life is, how blessed I am, how blessed we are. I'm so grateful to exist. And we are just pouring and pouring in overflow because we can't do anything else. That is the only authentic expression of being fully lit up by life. So this is my prayer for you, that you would connect into these emotions that you so desire before you have any reason to feel them. And if you need any support, you can leave a comment or reach out to me for a one-on-one. I'll see you in the next video. Wheel. So I'm nervous. All right. Why am I nervous? Because there are things that I have not shared publicly in ever. And now I'm going to share them, and it's uncomfortable, and I'm just gonna be with that emotion. So